Do you know that Jesus himself constantly prayed in the Spirit? It's true, he did. And he was Jesus. He knew more than anyone else how to get into the Spirit. He always lived in the Spirit. He was so tuned to the Spirit, and he lived in that realm. So Jesus now, he could be having a conversation with his mouth, using his mind, but his spirit would be praying at the same time. And this is what I do, a lot of you do as well. I'm sure you've experienced that. But let me show it to you how it worked in Jesus, and so that we know for sure that this is the way he prayed. If you go to Luke 9, chapter 9, verse 18, it says, "And it came to pass, as he was alone praying, his disciples were with him, and he asked them, saying, Whom say the people that I am?" You've read this verse hundreds of times, but you've missed something because you only latch on to the last part of it, whom do people say I am? So if you don't understand this verse spiritually, if you're not a spiritual person, remember, only spiritual people can understand spiritual things. If you don't understand it spiritually, the Bible has made an error here, because it says, as he was alone praying, his disciples were with him. What is the definition of alone? It means there's no one else with you, right? You're just by yourself. So how could it say that he was alone and his disciples were with him? The reason is he was alone in the spiritual realm, but he wasn't alone in the physical. So in the physical, his disciples were right next to him, but the Bible says he was alone because he was praying in the Spirit alone. And because the disciples were not of one spirit and one accord yet at that time, they weren't with him in the spiritual. So he entered the realm of the Spirit and was praying, but in the physical realm, he is able to now talk to people and engage with them. But the disciples, he was not saying words. That's why they were talking. Because the disciples would never just interrupt him. But they were not spiritual enough to pick that he was praying in the Spirit. So other times he was praying in the natural, the disciples could see it because Jesus was saying words and they didn't interrupt his prayer. They were very careful not to. In Luke 11:1, it came to pass as he was praying in a certain place, when he ceased, one of his disciples asked him, Lord, teach us to pray. So in this case, he's praying in the natural realm with words, and they know, so they're respecting him and waiting for him to finish, and when they finish, they asked him. So I know many of us have experienced, right, when our spirit can be doing one thing, you are praying and your spirit may be praying in tongues, or you are praying but your spirit is singing a song. You are speaking to somebody about something completely different. Your spirit is communing with somebody like a saint or an angel or God or just praying. So when you grow to this, your spirit can be doing one thing and you can clearly distinguish that from something else that you're doing in the natural realm. And in fact, people ask the question, why does God say pray without ceasing? It's not possible to do that. Yes, it's not possible in the natural because we have things to do in life. And this is one of the ways to pray without ceasing, because your spirit can pray without ceasing. It can never stop. This is just one of the ways. Today, what I want to do is just focus on the basic principles of prayer. So I'm not going deeper. Perhaps next time I will do a follow-up and we'll build upon this foundation and talk about some of the deeper truths of prayer. Now remember, when Elisha and his servant Gehazi were outnumbered and the servant is getting very fearful, Elisha opens the servant's eyes. They were standing right next to each other in the physical realm, but when the servant's spiritual eyes were opened, he sees Elisha standing on top of a mountain with chariots all around him, far from him. So it's the interplay of the two realms. So if you want to pray like Jesus, praying in the Spirit, learn to build your spirit, understand your spirit's functions, and then your prayer life will reach a completely different level.